So again, welcome to our cloud BoF. We had presentation presenting our team on yesterday on Sunday. Today we want to discuss more about our team, our what we plan to do, what we did. So few most important topics are sprints. So what we managed to do after sprints, what the planning of new sprints, most probably at MIT. We should discuss account status. What's the status, what is missing, what we need to do, or whether we are waiting for somebody else. What's the status with FAI, especially OpenStack with this? And summer of code. What are we planning after it finishes, how we plan to integrate this into our infrastructure, into our workflows. And also, I guess we will need to talk about our team interactions, how we work, what we should change, what we want to change. And after presentation, we got some contacts, and it looks like people are expecting that we will be providing some Docker and Vagrant images. Yeah. Okay, so we might, if there is enough time, we should discuss this, but I guess in more context of our ordinary workflow of providing more images. So should we start with sprint? So we had quite nice sprint in Seattle last year. We managed to achieve something after the sprint, especially account delegation, accounts, official accounts, but other than that, not much, unfortunately, unless I'm missing something. CI. So yeah, Bastian is working, so that's good, but I guess not much of testing, if I know correctly. At least I haven't touched it.
So I have something to say about it.
Yeah.
Can you get the microphone?
Yeah, take mics.
So on the sprint 2 days ago, that's okay. We just don't have feedback. So on the sprint 2 years ago, I've set up a CI thing inside Cajulana, and my understanding is that we could not use it because of some Unix ownership problems. Am I right, Steve?
Not so much problems as we haven't tweaked.
There is secondary.
Are the things turned on? Sure. We haven't moved things around in terms of who's building things and how it's done to actually plug it all together yet. Definitely. That still needs doing.
So right now I do have an internal cloud at my company which has an external API which is public. Would you prefer to use that rather than something in Cajulana itself? What's your feeling?
I'll be honest, I don't have strong opinions at all about this. It's beyond, it is good to have CI as quickly as possible plugged in. However we do that, I don't really care. But having said that, doing it with Debian infrastructure is good if we can, on the very first cut.
So the thing is, I'm already tightly monitoring that internal cloud because for my company it cannot fail. When the Cajulana one, if it breaks, maybe I won't know about it, and when I know about it, maybe I don't have time to do it. Do you know what I mean? So if I have to choose between something I must put efforts on and something that I'm already working on because I have to, then I probably prefer the former, the later. Okay. Okay.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of things that still need doing here. It wouldn't hurt to actually just get things going at all.
All right.
Okay, so to summarize, so what does anybody know full state of what we have, what we don't have, what are active processes, or not really?
We don't have Bastion here, which is
Yeah. So basically, it looks like Bastian is the biggest, the person with the most knowledge and the most knowledge. So we should get some other people possibly to get to share this knowledge.
After the last sprint, I will admit I failed. I was meant to be organising like monthly get-togethers, so we could share progress and talk about what we were doing. And it totally fell off my radar as many other things came up. Of course, one of the points of having those regular get-togethers was to help drive this and make sure that we were tracking what everybody was doing. We've done a fairly crap job of this.
I'm fairly frustrated by the fact that images would be published through a Salsa CI, because that may work for the big three closed source providers. This won't work for OpenStack.
Why won't it work for OpenStack? I'm sorry, that I don't believe you at all.
Because people need to register with an account and give their credential to the to their OpenStack cloud, so that we can publish to these clouds.
Oh, sure, and we can drive that off the back end of it. It's not a problem,
okay.
Really, yes. You've asserted this before. There is genuinely, we can build anything from Salsa, publish it however we want. There's plenty of ways to stick a process together here.
It does in a safe way where providers' credentials are safe.
Okay, other way around.
Yes.
Can't we use Image Finder, which is supposed to publish RSS feeds with newly built images, and then they can pull it when they are ready, and this way we don't.
And that works too.
We don't even need to store their credentials. They will just pull from our infrastructure.
Is the CI in Salsa connecting to Cajulana somehow?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it does.
There's a GitLab runner that does work on Cajulana.
So where will the image finder be hosted?
It's yet to be determined.
Yeah, it's not hosted anywhere, so I'm planning. Not yet.
Yeah, but what we're planning on?
Yeah, I'm planning to, I don't know, get a VM somewhere and deploy and use a .debian.net domain for now, and trying to integrate with Casulana or Patterson, something like that. So we'll have access to the Debian infrastructure anyway.
It's still very much work in progress. Have you seen Artur's demo?
I hope to have him on some parts of it.
Oh, of course. It's as a new project, I think it looks really good. Obviously, it's not finished. There's still plenty of work to do. So if we as a first cut, we'll go through the normal process. We'll get a VM somewhere, and we'll point, say, cloud image or image finder or something .debian.net at it. Once we're sure that it looks good and looks reasonable, we can then talk to DSA and we can get that hosted on an official Debian box.
I think that my company can sponsor that VM on Debian.net. I don't think it's a problem.
Okay, cool. That sounds great. Obviously, once we're happy and we know it works and it's reliable, we can turn it into an official Debian.org service, and yeah, we can then plug into that. Yeah.
I can also the DSA is working with Puppet. I can work on making a Puppet thing to deploy his image finder.
Yeah. For
I'm
now,
volunteering for it.
we have a Docker image, but it's easy, so we can deploy in other ways. So that's fine for us.
Or otherwise.
And do you think that the RSS feed is enough for your use case?
It's not, because we are effectively uploading to Azure, Amazon, and Google.
Yeah.
That's a commercial advantage that I don't want them to have. If we do that for them, I want that we also upload for OpenStack things. I don't want that providers have to do it manually.
Yeah. Or pull from RSS feed or something.
we need at least some kind of web signal, some webhooks somewhere
Yeah,
to tell the providers that they must download.
Yeah.
Best would be if we upload it directly
Mm-hmm.
instead of just sending a signal. The signal thing can be the first approach.
Yeah, that
So where would we upload to? We've had this discussion before.
Wherever the OpenStack provider
Okay.
is telling the APIs.
Sure. Okay. I mean,
And-
this is-
and
this is
we-
all done,
we-
it's just a case of plugging stuff together.
We also need a kind of manual moderation thing because we don't want to be spammed with lots of credentials and whatever. Like the API could be spammed for it or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do we already have contact to providers that use OpenStack in their cloud environment? One,
Resident.
yes.
At least I want it for myself.
Are there others that we know of that are in the cloud team or had contact to the cloud team?
So that's another thing I wanted to do is getting in touch with OpenStack providers if they want to join the cloud sprint. So OVH, for example, it's maybe one of the largest. Rackspace, City Cloud may be interested. So I'll go through my list of contacts.
Thanks. I guess you have the best contacts to the OpenStack providers. Or
I have
know them.
some contacts.
Yeah. No, but basically you have the best from our team, so we maybe need to discuss it later whether we want to spread those contacts and.
So if any cloud provider is watching the video,
Yeah. Okay, so to summarize it a bit, we need to work on publishing, and we need to more people to know what is the status of this CI workflow Salsa, and we will probably need to rework this and have to have it hosted, or at least have ability to host it on Kazulana and some external infrastructure like Infomaniac or something else. So we can switch between them, and and more people know about what's happening, and not only poor Bastian. More remarks? So this is process.
I have one question.
Yeah.
What is the current status? I saw that people are asking, are there cloud images for Buster? Even if they're, and then I read something that there's a testing directory. So should we advertise this more? These are not yet finally official images, but there's just a link or an URL where you can use this. I'm not sure what the current status is. I just saw people are asking, where do I get the images? And I think that the image finder will take some time, but it would be nice to have the information where to point the people.
could the file image be published at the same time as the OpenStack one? Because that's the reason why I couldn't test it. Of course, I could build it myself and test it, but that's not what I wanted to test. What I wanted to test was the final product that we publish.
Sure. It's we're still missing a couple of pieces being hooked together to actually make sure that we do publish the images that Bastian has coming out of the Salsa build. So we can just put those on Peterson and link to them and whatever in just the same way.
Question?
So
There is
what's
question
missing?
back, so can somebody
Sorry?
pass the mic?
What is missing?
Little bits of scripting. In the couple of weeks before the Buster released, Bastian was doing lots and lots and lots of work and on lots of projects, and this didn't quite happen. We just need to find the time to, literally, there's probably about a day's worth of effort to make it happen. I believe.
Pass, Mike.
So I may be jumping the gun here, but I know some that Buster images, certainly for AWS, aren't currently being published because of the accounts needing to be sorted out. But can anything be done in the meantime to, say, publish Buster images on the old accounts which may not be ideal but work, so that people can get on with stuff. I don't think people outside Debian care what account they're published from.
Oh, yeah. Sure. So exactly, there's two bits of publishing. I think Noah, as if I understand correctly, Noah was already thinking about doing exactly that and just publishing some, at least holding Buster images through the old setup on AWS. It's painful all round the fact that we haven't got the new account set up. We did start this process months ago. Of course, the problem is if we do any Buster images through James Bromberger's old account, then people are still going to carry on looking there forever. You know, it was one of the things we wanted to do was to kill that off.
Basically, to have fresh start with Buster, to have Buster only on new accounts, and then people who use old images will stick with old accounts. People who want to move will just move to new publisher.
Yeah, that was the hope. But we also should be pushing stuff out on Peterson. I did a little bit of work with Bastion before the release, and then events overtook us. We just had so much other stuff going on. So for those who don't know, Peterson and Casulana are two Debian machines. Casulana is our stupidly big build box, which has all the cores, all the memory, all the I/O. And Peterson is our publishing box, which is a front end to a huge amount of bandwidth, helpfully provided by the University of Umeå in Sweden. We just need to plug things together to make sure that we actually have our images published so people can grab them, as both from the Debian servers and from the cloud providers. That's what we want to do.
Okay, but I assume that all other accounts on Azure and on and on Google are ready, and we publish images there.
As far as I can tell, yes. Have you looked? I haven't.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, guys. We suck. We were. There's a lot of work to be done here, and we've not done a good job of coordinating.
Did we mention that we could use more volunteers in our team?
So, you mentioned about the sprint briefly. Is that coming up, or is that further up?
It's up.
Okay. So
we were discussing after sprints the status of building, publishing, and
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So planning. Let's move it probably later, because I guess you want to move to planning of new sprint.
Well, it's worth mentioning, unless we have anything else higher priority first.
Sure. GCE have good counts. We hope.
So we have had a sprint for the last 3 years running, hosted by each of the major cloud providers in Seattle. We've already been contacted by in fact by a Debian guy, I think, Jonathan at MIT, who has already provisionally booked us space. So 14th to 16th of October, I've just looked it up, at MIT, obviously in Boston, which is an awesome offer, and already it seems that the cloud platform folks all seem happy with that as well. It's yet another trip for the US for people on the team. It would be nice to not have all of these in the US, but equally it is genuinely very, very important for me to have all of the best known cloud, representatives from all of the best known cloud platforms turning up as well. There's a lot of overlap here.
Maybe we should try to get people from DigitalOcean to come, because it's not
absolutely.
far from New York, right?
Sure. Well, exactly. So last year we were hoping to even have last year's sprint at DigitalOcean's offices in New York. We'd had an offer, but then there was a staffing change the guy who had been offering to host moved on and apparently didn't pass on the information, so it was too late to plan. We definitely want to get DigitalOcean involved. You mentioned OVH, who I'm hoping we could get to New York as well, maybe.
So they have offices in near Quebec, so it should be.
So exactly. So it's really easy to get to Boston from Quebec, surely. And it would be good to get lots more people involved.
So in OVH, I know the community guy, so he'd be the first contact.
Cool. Can you prod him and ask him to join in?
Sure.
But so to summarize this part, dates are what's happening. Dates are final, so we can try booking flights, hotels, and so on.
They have the rooms booked at MIT. We should make a decision as a team that we want to do this. I think it sounds very useful, very good. So I suggest that somebody, and I'm looking at somebody now, possibly mail the list and say this is what we're planning, and get the DPL approval for travel, that kind of thing.
Okay. So I will send email still here to list. If I don't get any disagreement till, let's say, end of the week or something.
Yeah, that works. Okay.
Okay, so it's good. Should we discuss slightly hotel? Because previously we hoped to have some shared reservations, but it didn't work out.
Oh, hell yeah. And definitely we should actually organise this kind of thing to actually have at least some overlap and try and coordinate better. We were rubbish last year.
Maybe this local Debian guy could organize this.
Yeah. Or at least point us. Yeah.
Well, and of course the DPL is in Boston as well. You know, there's plenty of Debian people around there. I'm sure. You know, we might prevail on to get some help.
So I will even sit with Sam and ask him for tips and something, because to keep him in the loop. So okay, summer of code and OpenStack and team interactions. So which first? Summer of code maybe. We discussed it slightly. Plan to host it first on some virtual machine, possibly on Infomaniac. But we should also discuss what we do after the project finishes. Basically, who will take care of it?
Well, yes, he's now part of the team. He doesn't realise he's signed up for life.
Okay.
Yes, I was about to say that.
Have you gathered enough key signatures so you can open an M process?
So basically, we finish and all the basic that we plan for GSOC, we need to create users because everyone could post images, and we don't want that. So we create an API, a key that we need to give to people from the cloud providers to use the Finder. This is the first step. The second one we have already moved here because we need to put in the Debian infrastructure. And first in Zigo infrastructure to have people using it. And I think this is what we need to do to finish it. It's a lot of work here. And also, I think, I think that's it.
I noticed you didn't answer the question, though. Do you have lots of key signatures?
No, I need it.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, right. Don't run away. We'll fix that.
Okay.
So hosting first Zigo on Infomaniac, then we will take care. Just to summarize, in what technology it is and how many people know this?
It's made in Flask. It's a Python framework. And
Okay,
a little bit of JavaScript.
So I guess we have enough Python knowledge in the team.
Excellent.
Maybe not Flask, but
And again, I mean, I remember one of the discussions is we will need to actually to plumb in so we have information available about what we've built, that kind of thing. At the moment, you just have a static list of images. But obviously, again, that's just a simple matter of programming. It can't be hard.
all the documentation about the project we are doing is in our wiki in the cloud team there, so you can find everything, all the sprints we are doing, and also if you want to contribute to the project, everything's there.
How to set up your own.
Okay.
So there might be a bit of packaging work if we want the libs that he needs, but not much, right?
Maybe it depends. I mean, a lot of the services that Debian uses are not necessarily packaged. It's good to have them packaged, but we don't have to run from packages for everything.
If nobody does the work, I will.
Good. Well volunteered.
Okay. At the same time, would it be good to sit for a few people and go through the code while we are here? I would be interested in seeing this. Maybe not too much, but at least to see how it looks and
get a feel for the code. Yeah, that
Yes.
sounds like a really good plan.
Okay. OpenStack and FAI. So because this, as far as I understand, this is the last set of images that are still built using old scripts.
Sure. So Bastion does have what he calls no cloud images, as in no specific platform images built, which are basically just like our OpenStack official images. We just didn't get round to moving over to those before Buster. Definitely, I would like to see this before Bullseye.
Yeah, because the OpenStack image works perfectly for, let's say, DigitalOcean and probably others.
Yeah.
Zigo, did you look at the no cloud images?
So I had a look, but as I said to Steve earlier, what I need is that file image to be published so that I can use the final result and test it.
Okay, so there's no possibility to manual download the image and try to and give it a try.
Yes,
and look at
if
it.
it's published on Patterson.
I don't get what is the blocking factor here. I didn't understand, and I want to write it.
So I wanted to test the full chain of the CI, building the image, publishing on Patterson, and then I can consume the final product. I didn't want to just try to build an image on my laptop that probably will not be the exact same thing as our infrastructure would be building. I thought that was too dangerous.
So yes, we should be pushing to get all of those images out on Patterson sooner rather than later, so we can actually get this going.
Just a question, because I didn't see what we have on the CI, because what I had understood is that we are already building some images, and where are those images located? Can't we use already those images to test it?
I genuinely don't know. I don't think they've actually got anywhere beyond Salsa.
Yeah, I think that we have some artifacts in the Salsa CI, so you can go there and download them and unzip and use it. But yeah, it's not available on Patterson yet.
Yeah.
With GitLab stuff, it can work, but it's not easy.
Also, this is a confusing thing about the image finder because we need to know how where the images will be.
Okay, so
I need to put a link there.
Sure. So we're missing one smallish piece of work that will then make all of this happen.
So maybe we have already work for first day of our sprints to get everything together.
To be honest, we should be able to do it before October.
Okay. Okay. Even better.
So.
Okay, so we have
this is to be already segueing into workflow and comms and interactions, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Again, we need to do more of the comms and interactions stuff.
Yeah.
We have genuinely, there's been quite a lot of work done, but not everybody knows about all of it or knows where to look for the results.
And much of the work sits on shoulders of 2 or 3 people: Bastian, Zigo, and Mr. Fai a bit, and our student.
So let's improve on that. This is something. It's an ongoing. So I was hoping that we would get Bastion here, but oh well.
Yeah. So we still have 15 minutes. So,
Move on.
so should we discuss new modes of communication or something? Because we have IRC, we have mailing lists, but those are most times bit quiet, and then
I
we
don't
have,
think there's necessarily anything wrong with
Yeah.
them. It's just we're
Yeah.
not doing enough of it.
Yeah.
So that was why I was trying to get the
Mhm.
organisation going to at least have a monthly,
Okay.
meet-up, and to help drive that
Yeah.
kind of conversation. So apologies.
So
while-
as really naive volunteer, I could try to take over this. So monthly meetings are okay. Which any proposals or any hard breaks for time slots, time zones, or something?
So again, I started this.
Yeah.
The only sensible thing, because of course a lot of the
Yeah.
people aren't here, is talk on the mailing list.
Okay.
And work it out from that way. I mean, you could do a doodle poll or something.
Yeah. Mhm.
What I found was that didn't scale very well if you've got lots and lots of dates.
Yeah. So. Okay, so I will try to come with something. Any mode of communication for those meetings? Voice, video, just IRC, something else?
That's something to work out. I mean, I
Okay.
think a lot of people are happy with IRC. Some people might prefer video. Some people would hate video.
Yeah.
So we'll work it out.
Yeah, it's good. You wanted to say something? Mike.
I think over continents, maybe IRC or Mumble would do. But anything
Yeah.
else,
Yeah, and delay with the voice, yeah, might be painful. Okay.
and it voice could be painful with my horrible French accent, and others might have the same trouble.
And nobody understands a word I say. So, while we're on the subject of communication and people doing stuff, I am going to tell people, a few people know this already. At the moment, we have 3 delegates for the cloud team, which is me and Tomasz and Luca. Since I took on the delegation back in October, I will admit I've been rubbish with lack of time. That's only got worse because I've picked up other hats in Debian. So I'm going to have to apologise and say, sorry guys, I am going to resign from the delegation. Please don't take it personally. I love all of you. It's just there aren't enough hours in the day, and some of the other things I've got are even shorter of people than the cloud team. So stuff like anti-harassment and whatever.
Is it a firm decision that you're going to resign, or
It
do you
is,
want
yes.
to give more time to it?
No, I'm telling people today that I'm resigning. Like, as I said, I'm still going to be around. I can still answer questions, but I genuinely, as has become obvious in the last few months, I don't have the time to be able to drive things. So it's not fair for me to be, for me to be in that position in the team. I mean, my wife, for example, has sent me to DebConf and told me I need to drop some hats. If I don't, then you'll never hear from me again because she'll murder me and bury me in the back garden.
Okay, so do we need to find other delegates, or are we okay with just
And
2?
that is a very good question. It's something for the team to work out. The process that we went through for the delegation last year, I think, still has value.
Yes.
And the rules that we worked out of not having people delegated who have potential conflict of
Yes.
interest, like, for example, commercial interest in one of the platforms, that kind of thing. And that was how Tomasz and Luca and I ended up here. Now, of course, we have another problem that Luca is also conspicuously not here. Again, not that he's not a lovely guy and doesn't want to help, but he is also totally swamped with day job responsibilities at the moment. So I would also be tempted to ask him if he's still around and wanting to stay in. I appreciate it doesn't look great if maybe 2 of the 3 delegates are looking to move on after less than a year, but there's no point in having people around who don't have the time. Right, any other comments around that, or do we move on? I guess talking about Docker and Vagrant images.
We have we have some people here that were interested in this kind of thing, so I put this in the agenda. So I don't know, we can start a
Okay.
discussion about.
Does anybody know how we should build them? Because in Docker there are two phases. One is this base image, and then there is Docker file who is used to build something on the top of Docker. So I guess we are talking that Debian should provide this base image, so everybody from Debian official whatever, and I have no idea how it's built initially, and I have no idea how to build Vagrant. I never even use Vagrant.
So, as much as I know, the Docker image were made by Paul Tagliamonte until now. And is he still doing it?
Yeah, I was going to say, I know there are official Debian Docker base images, but beyond that, I don't know who's actually taking care of that. It does seem to be in all the right places on the Docker hub, so people find them and are using them, and Buster's there and so on. It's all there.
So I have both Docker images and Vagrant images. They are my basic tooling. And now the images that are in Docker Hub are built by Docker itself. So I don't know how that works, but they do the image. They usually lag a week or so from testing. And I build my own images weekly, so would be no effort for me to take on these roles.
So we've had discussions around this area in the past. Again, one of the reasons we wanted to get a delegation for the cloud team was so we could actually have some official responsibility for producing official Debian images, and we could set policies. There are no similar policies around the Docker images or Vagrant images yet. I genuinely think that is a problem, as what are the official Docker images and Vagrant images, and who's responsible for them? Is there any way on those platforms? I'll admit, blatantly, I've never used the Vagrant images even once. But for example, is there any control over the images? Do we know how they're built? Do we have sources for them? You know, all of the usual good stuff that we worry about in Debian. It's difficult to tell these things on some of the newer platforms, and we should be worrying about that. I'd love to be told, don't worry about it, it just works, here's our policies, here's how we do it. I'm not optimistic.
Another thing which probably you can tell me, is there a way to check that the official Docker image has the right checksum? Yes? Okay. So then it makes sense that we publish it.
Concerning the Vagrant image, I remember we had the discussion at the Cloud Sprint, and we were not sure what's so special with the Vagrant images. Is Vagrant a sort of image, or is Vagrant just the tool to build whatever image? And I think we also looked into the configuration, and there were some very strange things like accounts with no password, or some hard-coded things. So it would be good if people that are using Vagrant would look at our no-cloud images and would say, would that fit their use cases?
So the problem as of today with Vagrant images is they are not updated. So the last time I tried to use the Vagrant image that is in Debian's name, it was like 6 months without update. So I don't know who's maintaining that account, but
the Vagrant image must have hard-coded SH keys, because this is how it works. The Vagrant needed to be, for example, it has a command like SSH into the VM or other things. So the no-cloud image can't work here. It's not just like a Kuma image. It's a VirtualBox image or libxc image. But I have another problem for the background image. It's hosted on the HashiCorp cloud, but it can also hold on our, for example, Debian.org sites because it has a feature like a external source for the background image.
Okay, sorry. Can you repeat last sentence? I lost it. So because basically you started mentioning something about HashiCorp, but I didn't get this. So let me write this on notes.
I will add it on the copy.
Huh?
I will write down on the copy myself.
Oh, okay. Yep. Thanks.
What about the hard-coded SSH keys that are host keys or for the root account?
Because the background has
But a public key for an account?
The basic idea is that Vagrant has a post-provisioning phase, right? So you write your Vagrant file, and you are going to, like for example, install some server, Apache 2. So when it first boots, it uses a hard-coded SSH key to provision the machine, and after provision, it generates a new unique SSH key just for that installation of the image. So if you have 10 different Debian images up on your machine, you have 10 different keys on each. But just in the first time when you have no internet access, nothing, it uses a hard-code key to provision.
So this is an image that is not ready to go because you have to do some very important things during the first boot up.
Yes, mostly.
Generating SSH host keys, we also do this in I think all the other images that during the first boot up, I think maybe Cloud Image does this, that unique SSH keys are generated. But what else is done for important for Vagrant image?
No, authorized key to SSH into this as root or something. Okay, so I guess that this is like I wrote. It's a bit like Ansible. So you SSH into this and then install something, and then it's supposed to be delete this key, but we will need to check this basically.
But there's nothing special about a Vagrant image.
So basically,
it's just a COW file or a VMware image. So nothing special.
Okay, we have just 1 minute left. So any last remarks, last comments? Mike.
So basically we are actually doing hard drive images for some usage. Though the cloud may be not fully the only place where we need that. I'm namely thinking about, for example, the RASP images. So does that have a space in our team?
We were sitting, me, Helen, Steve, and somebody else, I forgot, in Taiwan, and we went through these CD build scripts and so on, because we were hoping to somehow integrate this. It didn't work out, but maybe it would be not bad idea to return to this. Helen wants to say something. To return to this and try to think, because there is much overlap with those issues.
What I was wondering if we could get, because like we are targeting some the biggest cloud provider for now, but what I would like to see is a process and infrastructure where if another cloud provider wants to be added in this tool, just submit a patch, people discuss and arrange things, and then we publish images in the other cloud provider. Yeah.
I think the current situation is that if somebody says, I want to have a special cloud image, just grab the configuration, the file configuration, make your customization and send us a merge request. Then our goal was to provide a tooling with the configuration so people can create customized things. Maybe we should promote this much more, that there's a configuration space, there's tooling, you can just use it on your local machine or in your local cloud environment, and if you're happy with it, just send us patches for your special custom configuration.
Yeah, I've already been pointing people at...
Steve, start.
Oh, yeah. I've been pointing people at what we have already when they've been asking about how to do certain things. So we already have quite a number of people who are borrowing what we're doing, and this is awesome. Yeah, we should definitely carry on with that and make more noise about it. I think we're out of time. So thank you, everyone. This discussion is clearly going to carry on going. You know where to find us. The Debian Cloud list, #Debian Cloud.
Cloud team in Salsa.
The Cloud team in Salsa. Yeah, Tomasz is going to be trying to organise regular
monthly
meetups, and also let's get going on the sprint for October. Thanks, folks.